Hi, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about the distributive property, very useful property in mathematics when we do mental math and when we do algebra. You probably have already been using the distributive property. You may not know it's called the distributive property, but it's a very useful property to know and a rule that we follow. So let's start with a simple multiplication problem, 3 times 2, where it can be written 3 parentheses 2. That means I have 3 groups of 2. And I could write it out as an addition problem, 2 plus 2 plus 2, which is 6. But we already know 3 times 2 is 6. So what happens, though, if I have 3 times the quantity of 2 plus 4? Well, normally, follow my order of operations, I would do what's in the parentheses. I would add that 2 and 4 together, get 6, multiply it by 3, and get 18. But I could also write it out as an addition problem. I could write it out as 2 plus 4. And I could do this 3 times 2 plus 4. 3 of these groups of 2 plus 4. And then when I go and add this, that's 2 plus 2 plus 2, which is 6. 4 plus 4 plus 4, which is 12. And I'm still going to add those two together. And when I do that, I get 18, which is what I got when I added the 2 and 4 together and multiplied it by 3. I wouldn't do it this way, not for something this simple. But let's say I had this problem, and this is a good use of the distributive property. So let's say I had 3 times 15. Well, I don't know my 15 times tables, and when we get more complicated with our multiplication, we try to break it up into problems that we can do easily. So what I can do is I can break apart that 15. 3 times 10 plus 5. Because I can do 3 times 10. 3 times 10 is 30. And I can do 3 times 5, which is 15. Now add those two together and I get 45. So a good use of the distributive property, and you may already be using it like that to do some of the more complicated multiplications in your head. But we also use this in algebra, and I want to show you some examples of how to use this in algebra when we have variables involved. Okay, so let's look at what happens when we have variables. So let's do 3 times the quantity of x plus 2. Now remember, that's 3 groups of these x plus 2. Now, unlike having regular whole numbers here, I can't add an x and a 2 together. They're not like terms. X's and 2's don't go together. So what I could do is I could write it out like this. Now this is the long way of doing it. And normally I wouldn't do it this way. But I want to show you this concept here. So I have 3 of these x plus 2 things. So how many x's do I have? So when I add these together, remember multiplication is repeated addition. So I have 3 groups of these x plus 2's. So x plus x plus x, that's 3 x's. Plus 3 2's. 3 times 2 is 6, or 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. So 3 times x plus 2 is 3x plus 6. There you go. So normally I wouldn't do it that way. I would just do real simple. I'd go 3 times x, which is 3x, and I would do 3 times 2, which is 6. This is the distributive property. Very helpful in algebra and when we're doing more complicated multiplication problems where you can break numbers apart.